I'm like, listen, like, I get it. You guys were definitely like mistreated off rip. The cast, the crew, everybody was underpaid. That much was obvious. I mean, literally, for crying out loud, I'm Saban publicly on the Toys That Made Us quite literally said, oh, this is to sell toys. This is a giant commercial to literally push out more toys. He said that like within the first like 5 minutes of the episode. And I was like, wow, he really just out and said it. But to his credit, you could tell that reflected for years and years and years. Power Rangers as a television series was literally a part of the ploy to sell more of those damn action figures, which also another point, they never even got their own figures. They had to buy them themselves, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah.
It's morphin' time.
Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's your boys back in once again for another episode of Power Rangers Academia. Yes, don't think we forgot about you guys. All right, it's just, you know, it's not our fault that the Power Rangers community, not just a community, but the entire fandom and the existence of the IP itself is kind of like up in the air. So there's not really much to talk about outside the comic books, which we will be getting back around to at some point, one way or another. But yeah, we got to do a little bit of catching up before we dive into what we're talking about today, which is the actors of Jason and Zach. They decided to release their side of the story as to why they left. There's a lot of good reasons. There's a lot of things that we could take from this, and there's a lot of other questions that I now have, which I'm sure we're going to get into on this episode. This is a complete episode, so it might be longer than normal. So hopefully you guys stick around for the duration. So I'm gonna ask each and every one of us how we're doing so far since it's been a while. So JD, how are you doing today, sir?
Yo, I'm good. Yeah, it's been a crazy beginning of the year, but everything's been chill. Like work stuff has been wild on my end. I'm sure you guys understand some of that stuff. But in the Ranger realm, it's been like super slow. But you know, I've been keeping up with the comics. We got these crazy jackets. You can see it in the back of Uchi's, in Uchi's background.
Yes,
those
sir.
Jackets are fire.
Yes, sir.
I'm still keeping up with the Sentai of King Ogier.
Oh man, the reminder is real.
Which I can't wait till you catch up, Uchi, because I know that you're gonna. I'm not gonna spoil it, but there's some stuff in there that you're gonna really like. But otherwise, just same old stuff. Just trying to wade these waters a little bit.
Word. All right. Well, that's good. Isaac, what about you, sir? How you doing today?
I'm freezing, as you guys can tell. So I'm wearing a hoodie and I'm wearing a coat. Why am I freezing? Because I am in my basement. This is where my equipment is. I'm not gonna record in my room. We're nice and comfortable because this is, the quality will be very, very bad. But overall, I am here. I'm alive. I am ready to knock sense into people. Knock sense into people. Sorry, guys, long day. Knock sense into people and expose the truth. That's what I'm all about. Expose the truth. And I said this before we went live. All right, I have a lot to say.
Yes, you do.
A lot to say. So I can't wait to get started. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm happy to be back.
All right, and last but not least, our boy Tech. What's going on? Talk to me, brother. How you doing today, sir?
Pop and play. I'm smooth, man. December was kind of crazy for me, a lot of work stuff. But January and February has been pretty smooth for me. So I've been kind of chilling lately. We got the Kickstarter joints from Boom Comics. So I was just saying, like, I really have no excuse not to catch up on the comics because I literally have all of the all the volume joints. so I'm like actually gonna catch up for real now. Now that I got some time.
Yeah.
To chill.
Word up.
But yeah, aside from that, it's been cool.
All right, solid. So that's all of us. Me myself, I got engaged. That's something to definitely note. So So and for the record, everyone here will be at the wedding whenever that does happen. So that's an extra ding, right? So I don't know if we're gonna be color coded. I don't know if my wife to be is gonna allow that headassery.
She will.
Isaac is just gonna do whatever, I suppose, right?
Maybe like color-coded socks.
Yeah.
No. So we know.
we all gonna go as a different color. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
I figured
we're doing this.
something along those lines, right? But in any case, like I mentioned to start this episode of Power Rangers Academia for you guys, as a reminder, we pride ourselves in being the most realistic fans out there. We keep our opinions 100% real. We have, obviously everyone has their bias, right? But I feel like our bias is definitely justified for all the greatest reasons.
We don't have bias, we have facts.
Facts. Okay, there it is. So we have facts, right? Now, today's episode and discussion in particular is an interesting one because we're going to be talking about a recent video that's actually behind a paywall, interesting enough. But shout outs to Tech using the company card, right? He went ahead, had to do the thing, you know what I'm saying? And got the video for us so that we could watch it and make this video for you guys. So basically, what is it about? Well, like I said, the actors for Jason and Zach, the original Red and Black Rangers, because I'm sure if you're watching this, you already know who the hell they are. And if you don't, get out. I'm just kidding. Anyway, not really. But yeah, so they made a video about why they left Power Rangers. Now, before we even decided to come together to make this video, JD made a good point and was like, man, why the hell are they talking about this now? Like, don't we already know all the facts anyway? Like, what's the point of this, right? I was like, yeah, that's a good point, but let's see what they say, right? So, surprisingly, even though a lot of the stuff that was talked about in this video, we do know, I did write some notes down, and it does seem like they did mention some things that I feel like has never been revealed before. So I guess what we'll do is I'll kind of like go down some of the things that I noted, and then I mean, you know, we can shoot the shit like we normally do, you know, keep it as authentic as we do it here. So it's interesting to say the least, because I mean, when you think about the times and how times have changed, and like when you hear how little they were really like getting paid in comparison to like other shows, it's kind of crazy. It gives you like a little bit more perspective, you know.
We was talking about Seinfeld.
Right, yeah.
They're making millions in like 12 episodes, and they're doing like 80 episodes.
Yo, so you know what? We'll start with that one right there. Okay, so like, so Austin St. John, right, Red Ranger, he revealed that Seinfeld made 13 million for 13 episodes, and that was just for 1 year. And Seinfeld, for, you know, being a comedy, I don't think at the time was anywhere near as popular as Power Rangers was. Power Rangers was like a global phenomenon at that point in time. You know what I'm saying? So like, that is one thing right off the bat that's kind of like beyond OD. Because you can now imagine like what kind of scraps were these fucking people making. And it wasn't even just the actors. It was also like the cast, or not the cast, but like the team, the crew.
The crew, yeah.
Behind everything. So it's like, you know, what do y'all think about this first? Isaac, you can go first. I see you shaking your head.
Seinfeld came out in 1989. The show was already very well established. You have to start somewhere. This was the first season of Power Rangers. So of course they didn't know how big it was gonna get, just like how the Seinfeld producers didn't know how big Seinfeld was gonna get. So the fact that you're comparing Power Rangers to Seinfeld is stupid. We're going from a fresh new show for children, mind you, not on prime time. And you're over here saying, "Oh, they made 13 million," and we're getting like what? So what do you say, like 20,000 or something for season 2 or whatever?
Yeah,
you cannot compare. You have to start somewhere. Now, if you stayed, I'm pretty sure you would have got more, right? Once the show becomes to the level of Seinfeld, Power Rangers at the time, one could argue, was a fad at the time. Yeah, right, so Seinfeld was always consistent. That's why, when Power Rangers came out, Seinfeld was on like his 4th season or something. So Why are you comparing the two? Ask the Seinfeld actors how much they made on the first year. It probably was more than Power Rangers, but again, you have to start somewhere. You also have to get bigger names for that type of show. This is brand new actors. Come to find out, Jason's 17. He's underage, dropped out of high school.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right?
That was another one.
They're talking
Yeah, I
about
remember him
staying
saying
in
that.
school because he sure as shit didn't do that. So such a dumb comparison. I'm like, yo, Tech, you paid? You paid for that video? Seriously? So that for him to make a statement like that?
I will say, like, in defense of, well, for Austin's case, like, he was saying like he was new to acting. He had no experience as an actor. But I'll say, like, for Walter, Zach, like, they probably, if you're at that point, you probably are not thinking Power Rangers is going to be my only gig.
Right.
Like, they probably were using Power Rangers as something for them to start off as, and then to move on. They probably, I mean, at that time, like, being typecast, and like, they probably didn't think like, all right, you're just known as the Power Rangers guy for the rest of your life. You're not going to get another big role after this. Like, they're probably thinking like, all right, once I get done with this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and keep getting bigger. So like, maybe that's why they're, which kind of sucked, because like, I was watching it, I do feel bad for them. I was also at times kind of thinking like, man, is money the only thing?
Yeah.
There, but
That's why we're here
like,
to talk about it.
understandable.
Yeah.
But like,
Because-
also it's like, yeah.
Yeah, because like on one hand, right, like I understand how they're looking at it from the fact that like they literally shot up to, from like nothing to being one of the most popular groups of people on the planet for like a year or two.
Right.
And that in some kind of ways will get to your head, but on top of that, it's like the schedule that they were working on, it probably was one of those things where like, all right, we have to get our worth. And I feel like I understand how they were like, all right, we're already working in these like really terrible conditions, because like if you think about it, right, like that like 0 to 100 on the popularity of the show, I guarantee that the budget that they had did not like accommodate for any of their shows blowing up the way Power Rangers did, right? Because they were trying to do that. They tried to do VR Troopers at the same time. They were doing well, I know Superhuman Samurai was like on a different network, but that was the same idea. And like you had a bunch of shows on around that period of time that they didn't have any budget. They were just doing stuff, right? But then Power Rangers blows up, becomes this national phenomenon, and then like they have to now suddenly pay all this team of people, because it's not just one main character. Like a lot of these a lot of those shows, like they might have like one title character or main character, but Power Rangers had 6 of them by the end, right? And you have to pay all these people, which makes things complicated for them, but they also probably didn't even have the budget for that shit. Because like, because Power Rangers has been notoriously cheaply made since the beginning. And I'm pretty sure, like, up until recently, I think the first season to have SAG actors on it was Cosmic Fury, which is the last season, or like Dino Fury season 2. Is it really? Okay, so but it was towards the end. Yeah, but it was like one. It was So yeah, you're right. I do think that Rory was like a SAG actor or something, but it's like. It's crazy because it basically was like the entire franchise run until you started getting like those rights in that way. But it's like there was absolutely no way that they were going to be able to pay them the way that they needed to. But I also understand as an actor, as an individual, you got to look out for yourself. So it's like I'm not necessarily mad at them for that, like money wise. But I think that's where it also gets complicated because like, It's kind of it's almost symbolic that 3 stayed and 3 left, because I feel like both sides kind of had a good argument to make. But I'm just curious, like who like I think the story I wish I could hear now is like what was the voice in the other, and because I believe I heard JDF talk about it in the past where he said that he felt like he needed to stay for the kids or for the fans, and he was looking at the fans more than the money. But I don't know what Amy Jo and David Yost had, like I don't know where they factored into that whole thing.
When it came hold on a second. When it came to JDF, I specifically remember a video where he was obviously talking about this, and he was stating how like to him, you know, he was a young kid and this was a job. So like for him, it was like a responsibility type of thing. Like, you know, like he had a job that he had to like, you know, do because he needed to make a living doing something and whatnot. And that was like a part of his reason that I remember vividly him saying, you know, at the time when he was talking about that. So yeah, it's definitely, I mean, there's always two sides to a story, and like literally like you said, it is a little symbolic that it's like half stayed, half went. And then like the crazy part is it's like we're never gonna truly hear everything because 2 out of the 6 are no longer with us. So it's like that type of shit is automatically in the grave, like literally and figuratively, which is crazy, but that's the nature of it. You know what I'm saying? So I thought like hearing their side, and the one thing I also want to add in there is like you could tell that Austin St. John, he was like really trying to like come at everybody, you know, like his demeanor
That
was
man was kind of
out there.
aggro. Yeah.
I can't wait.
He had a chip on his shoulder.
Listen, that's why I think it's a work, especially because of what you said, Uchi. So there's 2 people that we're obviously not going to be able to hear a follow-up on that, even though they were, well, we don't know Tweez, but
Right.
JDF's. We heard that side of the story before, right? And for him to, first of all, let's look at the teaser. He made it seem like you know, like screw them for not keeping their promises or whatever. But in reality, they're all friends, right? So
Yeah,
to me,
now.
it's like, okay, I'm pretty sure and it's behind a paywall. The video's behind a paywall.
Right.
So they want to get people talking, stirring up the pot. So I'm pretty sure they had a conversation with David and Amy and say, hey, we're going to talk about this. We're going to come off rule and the people are going to eat this all up and they're going to pay for it because we're going to put this behind a paywall. And if they want the story, they're going to hear our side of it. And I'm pretty sure Amy and David were like, all right, well, whatever. Do what you got to do. You know, we know there's no hard feelings.
I don't know.
And you know,
Yeah,
came
I
out with the
wouldn't be
video.
surprised they didn't say anything to them.
So
Right.
I'm yeah. Like, was there a response from AB or David regarding that?
That I don't know,
I'm pretty
because
sure
It's
we
one of
would've
those
seen
things where it's like, man, speak your piece, like type.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And for
But
Austin St. John to talk the way he did, making it seem like, yo, you know, we weren't being treated fairly. To touch on your point, JD, right? We're like, oh yeah, they didn't get paid what they deserved. What at that point, if there was nothing that came before it, what is it at that point that
That's
you can
true.
say this is how
Yeah.
much they deserve? Because yes, they were in there for 40 episodes, but half of each episode is Sentai footage, so it wasn't even them working the entire episode.
damn,
Right,
that's,
so-
that's
so
I
a
mean,
crazy
they
point.
did have some crazy conditions though, because like they were like back in the day. You have to remember for like in that era, the way that they were filming the show,
Yeah.
was crazy, and they did a lot of their own like, you know, stunts. They, you know, they weren't always fighting in the suits, but they were doing a lot of, you know, their hand-to-hand combat, which there was a lot more of at the time.
the unmorphed
But
fights.
why
Yeah.
is it that they knew what they were getting into before they signed the contract, right? Because they brought it up with the
To an extent.
Yeah, for
with-
season
with the-
for
with
season
the-
one,
with the,
yeah,
with the first Trini, right? They brought it up. I forgot her name, so my bad for not remembering.
Yeah.
But they brought that up. Now they saw what it's going to be like. So let's just say the show wasn't as
said they fired her
successful.
off rip.
Let's just say it wasn't as successful, and it gets renewed
Yeah,
for
they
a
would've-
season
it
2.
would- it wouldn't be a
They're gonna have
problem.
the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
complaints. No, they had the complaints because the show
Because
was
the
that
show blew
successful.
up,
The franchise
yeah.
was making money. And now they're like, you know what? They're making even more money. Now we have an issue with it because we want some more for the same quality of work. That was the main issue. So at the time too, the money, like when Walter was talking about how a commercial they would make $50,000 for a commercial, you're complaining about that too.
Well, didn't they say that the breaking point though was when the movie thing happened?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that was a bigger part of
like
it.
I'm curious to see like what you guys think about that whole situation, because I feel like
I didn't know
like that the alternate, because I remember hearing somebody talk about that before. I forgot who it was, but like the alternate future where they would have stayed, and like the whole course of the show would have been different in general, but like I understand why they might have felt shortchanged when the movie contract happens, because in their heads they're probably thinking movies means money, means
Right.
security.
Right.
And once they saw that it was basically going to be more of the same, or like up front, they probably was just like, nah, like, screw this. Like, and I guarantee you, like, and I hate to say this, but I'm sure like big heads were part of it, you know, because they had a bunch of people talking in their ears. Like they said they were talking to like set, you know, people on set who were kind of telling them to go other places. And then the fact that they were the biggest, you know, things on the planet, like I guarantee you, like, can you imagine how big their heads were after that whole shutdown when they did the live show and it shut down, like where was
Universal
it?
Studios.
Universal Studios.
Orlando.
Like, I would have, like, I admit, like, I would have had a big head too if I was part of that, and I saw, like, and I had like a whole place get shut down basically because of my presence.
And they even said it. They said wherever they went, people treated them like they were gods, and then they go to the set, and then they treat like
So it's like it's like, and plus it was like the early '90s too, where that kind of thing was rampant. Like, and you didn't really, they couldn't really express it because there was no, you know, social media or whatever. Like, I guarantee you their heads was big. You know?
Oh, absolutely. And you know, maybe they said, you know, they wanted to get paid something that was fair. It's very possible that because they did mention that the other three were given a raise to stay.
Yeah,
very much so. I have a feeling too, because obviously there's so much that they're not going to tell us. They were asking for too much money that did not make sense.
So he even said that during the
the
negotiation they did raise it a little bit, but they said it still wasn't what they wanted.
A little bit for Austin St. John. We're not talking $10,000-$20,000. Like, this guy sells pop figures on his own website, signed, overpriced. Like, come on. Like,
yo, but listen, all right, so to touch on that is a part of being the fucking first Red Ranger of all time. You know, like, he knows now more than ever, especially now because obviously he's making content for this kind of thing, right? Because remember, there was a point in time where he kind of just like dipped out. Like, he didn't want anything to do with Power Rangers. He didn't mention it. He was literally like a firefighter at some point, or he was doing something. Like, he completely like just disappeared off the face of the earth. And I remember people making memes about him being in some porno that wasn't even true.
I remember that. I forgot about that
shit. It wasn't even true. And like, I remember I was at an anime convention I go to with my family once a year. It's literally a tradition at this point. And I remember there was some dumbass dude, right, who was like I think I was wearing like my Red Ranger shirt or something, and you know how these people are. He was like, he's like talking out loud. He's like, oh man, like the Red Ranger, he's doing like, you know, that kind of other stuff now. I'm like, no, he's not. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, that's not him. Like, look at the freaking picture that was shared. Because it wasn't even like anything was like, it was like you could clearly see the dude's face, and it was not Austin St. John at all, right? Complete side tangent. Let's get back on track. Either way,
my roommate still thinks it's him. By the way, I'm just saying.
Whatever.
I got two
words for us.
Listen, so he disappeared, right? He disappeared, and then now like, and I'm not gonna lie, JDF did the same thing. Not gonna lie, we're keeping it real. I keep it real with everything. Did the same thing where they were like completely like out of the loop, and then something clicked, and they were like, oh man, all these kids that were our fans then are now getting older and they still love us. Well, there's a market.
Money.
Right, now they're getting money. Now
he was the first to do that, to go to the convention and get that.
I mean, yeah, it was JDF.
He was the first.
He was a huge part of all of that.
Everyone followed.
And so, and everyone obviously followed suit because, again, they saw that there was money to be made. Because another point that was made in this video was that once they started going to conventions and they were making as much or sometimes even more than what they would make on the actual show in a weekend,
in the whole season,
is insane. So, but I bring all that up because another point that was not mentioned, they did not talk actual figures. They did not talk numbers. They only said, oh, we wanted more. We didn't want to be rich. Nah, but see, that's the thing. Just like you said, a work, right?
Yeah,
I feel like some of this stuff, is obviously, you know, to get people to subscribe to their website, which is fair, I guess, right? And they want people to give them the clicks and the receipts for, you know, the money that they're dishing into this, right?
They're trying to make it all back what they could have get. They get paid. They're trying to get back on those videos. So.
Yeah, they're trying to make it all back or whatever, right? Like for all the lost time. But the point is like they're doing what anyone else is gonna do. They're gonna be like, oh, like what's a way to get people to really, like, you know, come click on this and to be fair, they gave us an 18-minute video talking about this. So I'm just like, okay, fine. But the thing is that makes it a little bit more interesting is all the things that they don't mention in this video. And it's like they keep saying like, oh, we weren't trying to be rich. We just wanted to get, you know, we just wanted what we felt like we were owed. And then they kept saying like, oh, well, we just want a union contract. That's fine. They never got them. That sucks even more. But then it's like, if you're gonna say that's all you wanted, but then you made it a point to make this whole narrative like we were supposed to all leave together, but only half of us did. Why did you come back? And I'm not talking about, no, this is an army comeback. No. I'm talking about Zeo,
yeah. And Turbo movie.
And the Turbo movie.
Uh-huh.
So who wants to take that? Tech, you could go because you haven't said. I need you to talk now.
Well, I was gonna come back. That was actually one of the things I wanted to talk about, but I just wanted to go back a little bit to what you guys are talking about with them being upset about them, about like Amy and Jason and David like not coming, like not stepping out with them. I think the reason why they're upset, if you really think about it, like it was probably more of a strategy thing, because like if all of them went on strike, you can't fire all 6 of them. I think that's why, like, that was their main negotiating tactic. Because, like, if all of us step out, well, something has to be done. Because, like, with 3 of them, obviously, you know, what happened. Like, all right, it sucks that we're losing, you know, the Red Ranger and the Black Ranger, Yellow Ranger, but all right, we're just going to cast 3 new ones. But, yeah, like, if all, and, like, obviously, I think Tommy would have been a big thing in that, too. Like, if he was one of the ones that stepped out, I think that also would have also made them renegotiate, because he was the most popular character. Like, if I'm Sabin, I'm thinking it was already at that point. I don't know if it was because of that, but he was already the leader at that point as a White Ranger. So like in his eyes, he's probably thinking like, all right, the leader's still here. The rest of you guys can go. Like, I don't care. Like
that's why the Red Rangers didn't matter. Rocky was, you know.
Yeah.
I thought to touch upon that point.
I think that's
Wasn't the Right Ranger put there as the leader, specifically the leader, because Jason was leaving?
Oh, like on the outside.
I believe,
you know what?
I don't
Probably
know when,
because that I think, you know what? I think it was because I'm pretty sure around the power transfer is when the ADR started. So that deal had already happened.
Right.
Like, yeah. I'm pretty sure like
literally the next sorry to cut you off, JD. I'm sorry.
No. I was just gonna say, like, if they started filming season 2 before things fell apart, they didn't. I guarantee they didn't get far into season 2 because, like, the weird ADR stuff started around that light saga.
I'm saying, like, because I was looking it up, and like literally the last episode before the ADR was the episode after the White Ranger came. So it was like literally right after the White Ranger episode is when they filmed their last episode, and then the next episode is when they were on strike.
They just used
which is episode I think 20 of season 2.
They say they started splicing stuff in there.
Yeah, and having Zach with braids in one scene and then the afro in the next one.
That was crazy,
bro. Like, I've been like, you guys know, like I watched the Roku joint a lot, and like seeing those episodes now, because like I don't know, like I feel like as a fan, I'm not as like connected as you guys were. Like, cause I was really just a fan of the show. Like, I just watched the show. I knew nothing about the scene, the community.
No, me
like,
neither.
A lot of this stuff.
You and I in the same boat.
Most of us got into it like as figured it out.
Yeah, past like a couple years. Like, I didn't really know any of this stuff until like maybe like a year or two ago. Like, I had no idea. So like watching those episodes now, like knowing that is like insane. Cause I'm like, what the hell? Like, those guys are really bold.
Yeah.
And the way they even tried to like slowly bring in the world, like the peace conference and all that stuff, and like slowly phase them out is like even more insane too. Because like, man,
I kind of have to.
They knew how
props.
important it was.
I kind of have to give them props too, because like the way that they did it, like, you know, doing one thing with one hand but doing a different thing with the other. It's like, for like young me, I just was like going along with it, you know.
Yeah.
But it's so obvious and it's hilarious, but it was also just like, hey, like, you know. But like we were saying, it's like it's still. Well, I don't know what's next in your notes, but I'll just keep thinking.
We can go back to what Uchi, because you're talking about the. Were you talking about the movie? What
Yeah, no, I wanted to touch up on that too, because what was interesting from this point in this video was that they mentioned that there were contracts written up for 3 films.
No, I never heard them.
And right. When I heard that, I was like, oh, that's something I never knew. And that's crazy, because if you think back, obviously, how many did we actually get?
2.
Right.
Actually,
but the
we
crazy part
had
is,
more.
They would have been
more.
all Mighty Morphin movies, though.
We had
ideally,
more.
maybe.
So
maybe not.
like the holiday special counts as a movie, according
Fuck that.
to the wiki. All right, so these specials, some of them count as movies. So I'm pretty sure it was gonna be Mighty Morphin and like 2 other specials with the same length. That's what I personally think.
All right, hold on. Let me ask you this: do you know how long were those specials?
I don't know, maybe half hour to an hour.
Were they
Those
TV
aren't
lengths?
movie, but I'm saying like they were Fox though. Those were just
Those are on
episodes.
TV.
They were
Right.
produced by Fox,
Right,
Studios.
which is why they were specials and not actual fucking films. Like we're talking feature films. They were supposed to
They
have
didn't say
3.
feature films. They said movies.
They did. No, he said they were approached by Fox
Yeah.
to do. He said because the thing was, they had the first movie and then they had 2 more movies after that. That's why they didn't. That was the main reason why they didn't do it, because they said Walter, he said they looked at the numbers. He said, I think it said like, because I wrote it down. They said 20K for the first movie, and then they said each movie, like the bump was like, he said like maybe like $6,000 more, and then like $6,000 more after that. Like they said,
you're right. I forgot about that.
yeah, like he said that was crazy.
Yeah. So
which is kind of crazy actually.
So in conjunction with this, you know, movie discussion, where it's like, wow, like there was supposed to be 3 films and all 6 of them were supposed to be featured, obviously, and of course that didn't happen. All things considered, half of them already left, you know. Yeah. And this was all happening like 30 days prior to them like even like starting the film. So like imagine had they stayed a little longer, that first movie probably would have been more goated than what it is today.
Yeah.
You know, and we probably wouldn't have had no Adam or Aisha or Rocky.
I will never forget Austin St. John for what he did. He gave us Rocky. And then the person who hired Rocky should have gotten fired. I don't feel bad for them. So if they asked for a raise, I don't care. I hope they never got that.
But also, I think that was probably maybe something that they bet on, like as their bargaining chip as well. Like they're like, all right, like we got a movie coming up. Like, do you really want to fire us right now? And then they did. So,
right.
So that also sucks.
Yo, so it kind of like, it brings me to this point now, where I'm just like, you could kind of tell the character of the actor. This is like that's like a book title right there. Oh, sign it off right here. Boom, you heard it here first. Character of the actor, right? Brought to you by Power Rangers Academia. Walter, the entire video, humble as fuck, even explaining his side of the story, even expressing how disappointing and how like upsetting it was that it's like they felt mistreated, which they were. They felt like underappreciated, which they definitely were. And like the way he approached it, you can actually have actual sympathy. But however, his actions match his words, right? Zach never made an appearance again until recently in the Once and Always.
I think he did like a voiceover
Yeah,
Or
he
it's
did.
for,
He,
like, a
oh,
monster.
he did a voice for a monster in Forever Red.
Oh, see, that's some.
But that
I
makes
didn't even
more
know that.
sense. Yeah.
But that was like a favor they called in because they were trying to do like they were like, hey, it's for the anniversary. We're
So you
But it was
mean
just
to
like-
tell me
Yo, he
all the
he stood on
conversations we
business.
had about Forever Red, and neither one of y'all brought that up?
Because I didn't know which guy it was.
I thought we talked about this before.
Uchi,
I didn't know.
these are
I only
your
knew that 'cause I
friends,
looked
yo.
at the
These are
wiki.
your
I,
friends.
I swear, yo, but because when we watched Forever Red together, I swore I brought that shit up.
I wasn't
Nah,
there.
I
so
would've
I already
remembered
knew
that.
Uchi was
that. I
definitely-
knew that already. I will say that.
Maybe,
Okay, see. So holding, you're holding information
But
just
yeah,
like
but
Austin St. John and
basically-
Walter Emmanuel Jones. Crazy.
Basically, he did, so the green
But-
the green Beetleborg, he did his voice.
Oh, really? Oh, that's funny.
But
That's crazy.
sometimes you don't want to know that stuff. Like I wish JD
Fact.
never told me about Leo not being there in the green screen. So,
Yo, that shit
so
is
sometimes you don't need
mind-blowing.
to know everything.
Yo, say hi to Leo real quick. He right here.
Leo's in ice cream. Nah, but listen, like,
favorite Power Rangers fun facts.
yeah. So like, so Walter, he comes off in a certain way, and it's just like
He
you
got
can
bullied,
really
by the way. He said he got bullied. He was getting
Well,
bullied, remember?
either way, right? Austin, the entire time, he's coming off as like this. We should have had this. We should have had that. All we wanted was this. All we wanted was that. We all were like, we were supposed to leave together. And, obviously only 3 of us did. But then, like, that's kind of where the video ends.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, but wait a minute.
that's something that I thought he was going to talk up. Yeah,
That's what I'm
Part two,
saying.
they went for part 2. They got charged us another 20.
but I will say one thing. I will say before we get into the next
Yeah.
topic. You could attribute that to the fact that Walter. I mean, I don't know how much experience he had as an actor, but he even said it. Like Walter had some experience as an actor, and like he was probably approaching it. It was his idea to get a lawyer and all that, like because he had some experience as an actor, and like and Austin, he was completely green. Like he was just talking to somebody that
True.
never was an actor before. He never. I don't know if he ever had even planned to be an actor or whatever, but he was just talking to somebody that just didn't really know what was going on. He was just like, "Hey, I want more money because I feel like I should have more money right now." And
Right.
There's something that I want you guys to think about
this
too, right? So they're talking about how the show was such a sensation, and the show basically is what it is because of they obviously contributed a huge part to it.
Yeah,
Right.
they're the original.
So, but it also, I believe in equal pay for equal work. Okay, now for them, yes, the show was overly like a crazy overnight success, but are they really the best actors out there? Because where were they after Power Rangers, right?
I was actually gonna bring this up.
One was in break,
I was-
and the other one couldn't find a gig, so he came back. So
Well,
you want
I-
all this money, my guy? You are far from Leonardo DiCaprio for Power Rangers. You acting like it.
So I was actually gonna bring this up as part of kind of to lead into why Austin St. John probably came back, right? Because at the time, right, like you said, so when Walter Jones left the show, or around that time, I remember he was on the show called Space Cases,
yeah,
which it was on Nickelodeon, which is like a Star Trek.
He was in Brink
show.
too. I remember that
He was
shit.
in
was
Brink.
Disney
That
Channel,
was his
okay.
famous role because the hairline, but
Still
he
got
was in Brink. And he was in a couple of other like shitty like B movies or whatever.
yeah.
But he was doing stuff, and then I know Twee was in the second what was that movie with that Sting is based off of? The Crow.
I was just looking at that. Yeah.
Twee was one of the villains in the second Crow movie. And so I know that they basically, even though they weren't doing a lot, they had roles, like they were doing things. But I also remember hearing, and they didn't talk about it in this video.
Can you remember the name of the movie? Okay, go ahead.
I don't remember what they were doing, but Twee, Austin, and Walter were trying to do like another show.
Really?
They were trying to do.
Pride.
Yeah, they were trying to do some like a series that essentially was like what JDF was trying to do recently.
Was it Legend of the Red, Black, and Yellow Dragon?
But like it was basically that. But it's like they were trying to do a series or a movie or something in the 90s, like after they left, they're trying to use the momentum from Power Rangers, but unfortunately nothing ever manifested.
Damn, they could have been the Beetleborgs. There's three right there.
Like, but for real, it's like they tried, you know, they tried and they failed, and so they kind of went in their own directions. And I'm pretty sure that Austin St. John, since he didn't find success in that realm, he probably just ran back to Power Rangers. And granted, it's like I don't know if they contacted him and he took the opportunity, or if he went and like kind of bargained something. But I would imagine that it was just like a situation where, you know, they called him and he had nothing going on, and he was like, "Screw it, I'll go back." You know,
right?
That's exactly what happened.
That's what I imagined would happen, because
that makes sense.
Because they had so many casting weirdness at that time too, with like Gold Ranger, and I guess they didn't know exactly what they wanted to do with them, because Gold Ranger originally was supposed to be Ryan Steele from VR Troopers.
Oh, okay.
Remember, like, because he did the ADR, like, so you know VR. If you listen to Gold Ranger on his debut, that's Ryan Steele's voice.
I never watched VR Troopers.
You never?
Yeah,
okay.
I know VR Troopers, but I don't know.
Cybertron,
we have to do this together. If you watch VR Troopers and you hear his voice, you'll hear how distinctive it is, and you'll be like, then you won't be able to unhear it.
Oh, it's one of those.
But basically, like he originally was the voice, and then eventually they came up with the Triforia thing.
Yeah.
And then I guess they just decided to pivot and do the Jason Returns angle, which I think worked in his favor. But at the same time, like, it is interesting that he's the one that ended up coming back for that, and I guess his contract for coming back to Zeo, I would imagine, played into the Turbo movie thing.
Had to.
You probably agree. Like, I would imagine, like, it was a you know, a 2-piece deal where it's just like he comes back for the second half of Zeo and he gets to do the movie. You know, like.
Yeah, and then he comes back in Forever Red, and it's like you're hearing him talk about, like, damn, like it almost came off like he never wanted to come back. Like, he was that upset that it was so unfair, so this, so that, and then here he is back again once again, and gladly, I'm grateful that he did, because imagine if Rocky actually made it on time. No, sir.
He was talking with such a grudge too, but it's like you came back the most times out of anybody else.
Right. That's what I'm trying to point out. That's what I'm trying to point out. Like, for me, it was like a little weird, you know, because I'm like, listen, like, I get it. You guys were definitely like mistreated off rip. The cast, the crew, everybody was underpaid. That much was obvious. I mean, literally, for crying out loud, I'm Saban publicly on the Toys That Made Us quite literally said, "Oh, this is to sell toys." Like, this is a giant commercial to literally push out more toys. He said that like within the first like 5 minutes of the episode, and I was like, wow, he really just out and said it. But to his credit, you could tell that reflected for years and years and years. Power Rangers as a television series was literally a part of the ploy to sell more of those damn action figures, which also, another point, they never even got their own fucking figures. They had to buy them themselves, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah.
So
that's insane.
That's like, let me see. I feel like that's kind of everything outside of, oh yeah, and then like, this is obvious. I don't know. I think maybe one of you guys mentioned this, but the film apparently didn't do well in the box office, which is kind of interesting.
I think he was over exaggerating a little bit. It wasn't like a mega hit.
It definitely didn't do that well, compared to how much they probably thought, because Power Rangers was so big at the time. They probably expected it to be at least as big as like a Disney animated movie or something.
Yeah.
But
it did I want to say like 3 times the budget, and like that's like not bad.
Oh, but hold on. But
these were also different times too.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, that's usually I'm not gonna say act like I know everything about movie making process. But from what I usually hear is like when you do like about double the budget, that's usually where you want to be.
Yeah, you just
at least to break even.
I mean, this wasn't no Titanic. You know, they made it seem like, you know, it was gonna be. But the way they were talking about how all this money and $40 million getting put into it, and they wanted more and whatnot, because you have to work for like, you know, for anywhere from like 2 months to a year or whatever, 6 months to a year.
I mean, listen,
you're also 17 years old. Like, you're lucky. Again, a high school dropout, and you're lucky you're getting as much money as you are right now. Some kids out of high school do not get a job like until 2-3 years later. You got one off rip. Didn't even have to finish school. No degree, no nothing. To me, he sounds spoiled, but that's, forget I even said. I digress. My bad. It's just the video got me mad. It got me so mad.
But I get
I wouldn't go to that extent. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I wouldn't go to that extent.
Yeah.
Especially for like how successful, like they were like for sure getting fucked. Like that goes without saying.
That goes without saying 100%. I just think that, like, you know, you know, it's funny because hearing Isaac say that, I feel like he would have fit right in with I'm Saban. He would have put all these teenagers in check, being like, "Oh yeah, guess what? Half the footage not even fucking you. Get back to work. Take 3." That's Isaac.
Them complaining, you learn, right? You end up learning from your experiences. Right. So again, this is the first season. Nobody predicted it was going to be as big as it is. So of course things are not going to go as expected. That's my issue, right? That's my issue.
I get what you're saying, but I also, just to combat that as well, I agree with you, especially as the first season. But I think what they said in the video is that by the time of the movie, like they kind of felt that they deserved a higher rate because they weren't the same people they were
correct
when they were hired. I'm gonna be honest, man. Like watching the season, like I've been watching a lot of Mighty Morphin lately, and like at the end of season 1 and like the beginning of season 2, they did become way better actors.
Yeah, way better.
Like Austin close. Was like, Austin was like legit like acting. Like that. And then like I think Walter was always pretty good, but like they all like kind of
they upped their game,
got a lot better for sure.
Like I want to also add to that like as the show went on, like by the time we get to season 2, they literally said the budget dropped.
Yeah, that's
just crazy.
Now hold on. I'm not saying that. Oh, like that's why. No, that's because I was like, oh, we're making more. Like Austin St. John literally said their margins, like they're not trying to like decrease their margins. They're trying to expand their margins. So, of course, they see how much money they're making. So what does Saban do? Let's keep on making
more money.
Making more money. And dude, that's like, I'm laughing because it's just like, wow, that's so fucked up. Like truly, it's like so bad that it's laughable, because like I feel like when you really think about, I guess, what the ultimate meaning behind even us talking about this on this channel is to remind people what the deepest truth nature of Power Rangers and what it is. It is rooted in greed, like 100%. It is rooted in constantly trying to take advantage of a popular thing and to exploit it to the fucking absolute max, and everyone that's a part of it, they get the absolute least of it. The fans also get the least of it, because fast forward times to now, Hasbro buys the Power Rangers, and guess what happens? The quality decreased and the prices increased. And look, it's 2024, guys. Reminder, I haven't heard shit about anything new, anything at all. And guess who's still holding up? Boom Studios. Thank you.
You know, one thing that does get to me though is they're still using the likeliness of these characters in the merchandise,
right,
and they're not getting any royalties. Like you're selling my face,
crazy,
and I'm making nothing off of it because of how many times it got passed from one company to the other company to the other. Like it was it is nuts because
Like they literally remastered these dudes' faces.
Royalties, once the company is sold or the IP is sold, the royalties are done. I watch a
That's
lot of Shark
fucked.
Tank. It's done. So they have to work something out with the company if they allow it. If they allow it. So that's kind of messed up.
It is. So like when you piece together things like that, you can definitely empathize and you could be like, yo, like that's real, that's super fucked.
But
like it's bad for the actors, it's bad for the crew. It's like,
do you not see Power Rangers, right? Especially Mighty Morphin. This is how I see it, right? This is why I get the way I am, right? Because I had so many jobs before in my life. But when it comes to the acting world, I would see Power Rangers as an entry-level position.
yeah, no,
To
like
get
that's
there.
that's fine.
That's what
Like
most of these actors do, you know? Like, that's why you have situations like, you know, the people who try to break out, like Dino Charge Pink, Camille Hyde. Like, she did that where it's like, to the point where she almost distances herself completely from Power Rangers because she got on with the CW stuff. But
Yeah.
a lot of other
Don't be
actors who've
typecast.
tried to do that, you know,
Like
that
SPD
same
Red.
route. Yeah. Well, but he didn't like he still has like a fondness for the franchise at least. Like he'll go to the conventions. And
yeah,
he'll talk
because he'll make his
about
money
it, but-
too. Like, come on, let's be real.
But
Like,
yeah, it's like but it's like once it was over, he had to kind of like, you know, put a barrier. It's like even Johnny Bot, like to a degree, like but Johnny did it I feel like Johnny did it the way most Ranger fans wish the actors did it, where it's like he didn't shun the Power Rangers community while still making a career for himself afterwards. You know, but to everybody's point, it's like Power Rangers has a stigma against it. Like no matter how good it is or how much we like it, it has a stigma against it in Hollywood. So it's like a lot of people do see it as that entry level job. But I guess when Power Rangers first came out, I don't know if they thought it was gonna be like they were the next like you know, just household name. And to a degree they were, but it's just like I don't know if they predicted that negative stigma was gonna stay there. And let's be honest though, the flash in the pan thing that one of you guys mentioned at the beginning, like the fad nature of Power Rangers, was a real thing, because after that movie is basically when the franchise started to dip, and that's kind of what forced it to change. Like that's what forced the costume change. That's what forced the you know, Zeo to happen, and then you know, like all of that stuff started happening because they were trying to revitalize revitalize it after the first two seasons kind of blew up. And I think that season 3 after the movie is when it started to, you know, diminish a little bit.
Yeah, when Rocky came
And
out.
yeah, but and it's like in like real talk, that might have been a factor. Like if you really think, and you know, not to, you know, I know we talk shit about Rocky, but it's like once we lost half of the original crew, I guarantee that was a factor in like Power Rangers like starting to lose its demographic, because people, you know.
yeah, no,
lost your
they
favorite.
actually mentioned this in the video. They literally said
Yeah.
that fans confirmed that they had stopped watching because they left,
because they,
and it didn't feel the same, and that's
Yeah.
fair. You know, it's
it's
It
like
relates.
you know, like it's crazy to think about like where the show could have been if they all did stay.
yeah.
Because like would it have continued along that path? But then like I don't know if it would have necessarily been better for the franchise long term, because would they still have done Zeo or the costume changes or whatever had everybody stayed? Like it's kind of, but you know, I don't know if it would have played out the same either way, because I feel like the whole like JDF and Austin beef would have gotten in the way of things at some point anyway.
Well,
Like that definitely.
I mean, we got Adam, so I'm happy.
They were
that it
kind of
happened.
forced
Yeah.
to.
facts. We
yeah,
got
I mean,
Adam. God bless.
Things happen the way it was supposed to, right? Like, but it's just like whenever you think about these what if scenarios, it's always interesting, you know, because like there's the like what would have happened in the Power Rangers lore is one question, and we're gonna get that answer in the return, which is literally that. You know,
Yeah.
like that's literally what Amy Jo's costume thing is about. It's like, what if there was just, you know, what if the original 6 stayed?
Which I
But-
have my reserves on, so that's
Yeah,
another
well,
video.
yeah, well,
in and
that's
of itself.
another discussion we'll have later.
Right.
But just like production wise, it's like I still feel like something crazy would have happened at some point.
If they
You know,
stuck, yeah.
because
That's what
like,
we'd like to think.
Because there was already like reports of like them two getting into fights behind the scenes all the time, to the point where I'm just like, it wasn't like stable, and at least Austin would have left or something would have happened at some point, so it's still kind of interesting to think about.
I just wish they at least did that first movie though, man.
Me too. Like the first movie with the original 6 would have been kind of crazy.
I don't know if we would have had that scene though off rip. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Oh, why not?
Which
Zach not a frog?
I don't know. Because I don't know.
I'm a frog. Wouldn't have played the same.
If Jason stayed, I don't think Tommy would have been a leader. It probably, I don't think it would have happened the way it did. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Well,
but who knows? Because
who knows?
At that point, he was the most popular character though too.
That's
so
exactly.
He could have still been
like,
a
the thing is,
ranger, not necessarily.
They still would have. I feel like if Jason was there, I feel like it just would have been more of a they they probably would have played off of that more in the movie.
Exactly.
Like, because if you think about that whole journey on the thing, it's like it would have been more about that dynamic between Jason and Tommy and their either teamwork or struggle without their powers, and then using the ninjetti for the first time and stuff. Like they probably would have had to write the movie in a different way.
Now I will say this, them in ninjetti, that would have been fire.
Yeah.
Like my God!
Did you ever see that art? Did you ever see the fan art of?
Yes.
Yeah. That's just tough.
Yo, that shit got me so tight because I was like, yo.
I wanna say, so since we're already kind of talking about what ifs, if they did 3 movies, what do y'all think the other 2 movies would have been about?
Oh, so we're gonna be here for another 2 hours. Is what you're saying? Is what you're saying?
That's what 3 movies
Turbo. What? They would have spaced them out 10 years apart. No, but I think one would have been Zio, because I think they were kind of forced to, like.
Well, yeah, they
were running out of footage, bro. Like they had to move. Like it kind of happened at that point, but they had to move on at some point.
Yes. Yeah. Like I think the format was inevitable. Like based on how they were doing things and how the operations were, like they basically took the model that Japan was doing with Super Sentai and essentially like all their other metal heroes and the tokusatsu genre itself, and they were basically just trying to buy the footage and use it in the most cheapest way possible, repurposing it, reusing it, giving it new life, recreating it in such a way for an American audience, so that way they can sell more toys. So
but
like
they even got to the,
I wonder too,
point with
the ZU2 stuff.
Yeah, ZU2 like that blew my mind when I first heard about that. I was like, what?
Me too. When I first learned about ZU2, I was like, because I think that happened. I think I learned about that. Because I think I learned about ZU2 after I watched Zeo Ranger for the first time. Because I was like, where's the scene where Black Ranger gets the dragon shields? Because I was like, I know that was Zeo Ranger footage, but it wasn't in the show. Then you found out, they literally commissioned them to make extra scenes that fit more with Power Rangers, where the Blue Ranger was doing technology stuff and the Pink Ranger and the Green Ranger were together more, and you had that scene where Zack gets the dragon shield just kind of like as a one-off, but it's like all that stuff never happens in Zeo Ranger.
I can tell you right now, the reason why they never just continue to commission more footage is probably because of budget. They did not want to spend more money than they had to, and especially with them telling us in this video that by season 2 they purposefully dropped said budget so that they can continue to increase their profits. You know what I'm saying? It's just like,
but I mean, they also used that what they were saving and gave some back to the because I'm pretty sure, yes, they were making a lot of money, but I'm pretty sure they were in a position too where there was a lot of debt to make things happen. So I'm pretty sure, this, because one thing I was also thinking about is, let's fast forward to before the transfer of power in Turbo, right? How much were they making, right? How much were the people that stayed? How much were they making? And then they gotta ask, they have to ask themselves, would it have been worth it to ride this all the way up to that point? I mean, so far, at least I did research on this too. I haven't really seen anything about them complaining about how much they were getting paid to that point. but at least from my understanding, and I will have to find the sources for you guys, is, you know, it wasn't an unfair amount that they were getting. Even Billy said, or David said, he left because of what was going on behind the scenes, not necessarily his pay. So he wasn't even complaining about the pay. So I'm pretty sure it got to a point where the pay was justifiable. They just, you know, like one thing that just stuck out to me as well, Walter was kind of complaining about how many days he would have to work, right? So not only was it the money issue, but how much he had to put in of his own time for the product. So I'm pretty sure there was a lot more compensating factors, and the easiest thing to go to was the pay. But by the time Turbo came, I'm pretty sure if they stayed, they probably would have got compensated a little bit more, because now you can even also tell by the production too. The command center looked better. The camera angles that they're using, the quality of the actual product increased over time.
Improve.
Yeah, so they had to do that to, you know, I think it was a necessity, not because, you know, they wanted to, because they want to increase their budget, like, you know, their profit. Yeah, what company doesn't want to do that? But it was like almost an investment. Power Rangers, it felt like an investment because it did get better production-wise over time.
Over time,
yeah.
But
but at the same time, like I guess it's kind of a hard thing to imagine, really, because like the show, while the production did look better, the popularity of the show was going down, especially when you do get to Turbo. Like Turbo, you know, was so bad that the show almost ended. But I'm curious about how the actors were being compensated and stuff, because the main actors left because they were just getting old. Like they were aging out of the whole thing, and they wanted to do new things, which is like, I could understand why they would want to leave at that point. But
you could tell Tommy,
you know, was it money? Like what was their money situation like? Because I'm sure that was partially a factor. Like I know that JDF like would, you know, do his cameos on certain like TV shows like Family Matters and stuff. Like he was just like playing like side characters and stuff, but like, so they were working side hustles while they were on the show. But,
I don't know.
But it's personally a lot of like variables, you know.
Yeah, like I just feel like at the end of the day, like what Walter was pointing out, and Austin as well, is like, had they have just gotten a unionized contract, I feel like a lot of things would have been better for them and for the crew, because like for all the time that they were putting into the show that was, I guess, required or whatever, they at least would have been compensated for that in a fair way. So I would like to imagine what it would be like, what a world would look like had everybody involved with Power Rangers since the 90s, how things would have been had they would have at least had their unionized contracts. Because then I feel like you might have heard a lot less like horror stories and more of like not horror stories, like, you know, some good things that happened behind the scenes, the morale boosted and this happened and that happened. But I feel like if you did still hear like horror stories, they may that to me would just kind of how do you say it, it would kind of like wean out like who was really just being a diva and like who was really there because they felt like they were being treated right, and then they left it at that. And then if they wanted to leave because they just wanted to do other things, which is totally fair, everyone has that right. You don't have to like stay on that character for the rest of your life, because you at that point, as an actor playing a role that is already immortalized, your face will always be attached to that, you know, and that's like, that much is a given. So I guess the last thing I wanted to point out before we like wrap this up, I do want to give a shout out to the technical original Yellow Ranger, who literally got fired off rip because she saw all this happening before it could even happen, called them out on it, and they got rid of her ass just like that. So nuts. I would also like to wonder and imagine, and I'm kind of curious, how come even in the comic books they haven't like even brought her back into like, I don't know, like
because I think it's still even a deep cut enough to where like they probably were just focused on like, well, who we saw on TV. But it would have been crazy if they, did like a what if scenario, or not even what if, but just like a
or like an Easter egg, like
yeah,
her
like an
as
Easter egg
one
where
of the
she could,
OG Rangers or something like that.
She
yeah,
still
or
does
she could have been like
conventions, too.
there.
Like, she
Yeah.
you know, she
She's
embraces
still around.
the Yellow Ranger for sure.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like you have an actor who didn't even literally, we only saw her in a pilot, and yet she's able to justify that, to go to conventions, sign things for a role that she didn't even really play. I just feel like, I find that funny.
Well, it's like the kids who played it's like the actors who played the kid versions of
like
the
Kid Rocky, who got
Yeah,
fucking
like
Justin.
fucked up by fucking Justin. Come on.
But it's like they go to these conventions like, oh yeah, I was the White Ranger.
That's Kid Rocky.
Yeah, it's like yeah, it's like
Yeah, man.
that shit was funny to me.
They all want a piece of the pie, and I guess that's fine. Listen, if I was on a Power Ranger show, I'd be like, yo, where's my table? I'm trying to have a fucking booth right now so I could. Yup, I was that dude in the background in this episode. What's up? I had I was liked more than Rocky. Rocky tripped. I stayed on my feet. What's up? I would justify anything that I could if I was on Power Rangers like that. But you know what? It's like at the end of the day, it's like, you know, good on them. But as far as that actor is concerned, like I think it would be cool, because low key, I thought that they might have brought her back for Once and Always, because you know, like, I'm not to say like no one's ever replacing the original Trini, but like if they were to write this new girl in as like I don't know, or just treat her as alternate reality Trini, I don't know, like they could be creative, you know what I'm saying? Like everything has a multiverse. Power Rangers has a multiverse.
Dog,
They could have done something like that.
They could have written.
I
something.
just looked her up.
That would have been so much.
All right,
deep cut.
because I'm curious. I'm like, did she do anything while after she got let go? So she was there. It was 19. It was a very long time ago. Clearly, the pilot episode, right? The non-official pilot episode.
Where they didn't even have the real morph. They should. That shit
She
said
was,
Yeah.
I'm looking at her
Tyrannosaurus.
IMDb, Audrey Dubois. I don't know how to pronounce the last name.
Dubois.
But she was in one thing in 2014, Sasaki Sterling TV show. She did the voice for somebody, one episode. She did nothing else. So I'm thinking, yeah, she saw this coming, but she definitely regretting that.
maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Does it say what she's been doing since, like in
That's
between all that time?
That was it.
Sasaki Sterling. That is it. Audio/web comic about a group of heroes tasked to fight a reanimated Chinese emperor using elemental powers given to them by a set of mystical sabers. So it's like a fake Lost Galaxy.
But to be fair though, like I'm assuming she was pretty young when she did the audition. So like, who knows, like if she
Yeah.
even really wanted to be an actor like her whole life.
Right.
So
Always out here defending somebody, son.
Nah, honestly, that's kind of like what I was wondering. Like, not like what other roles that she do. Like, I was actually asking, like, what did she do between getting fired and like now? Like, did
Sasaki
she pursue
Sterling.
like another career in something else? But
she working on that role for 20 years.
One episode, son. One episode.
whatever.
JD is
Good
dumbfounded.
ass
He don't know what to
episode.
say. Ain't nothing to say. He knows. Yo, she fucked up. She should have stayed.
I mean, like realistically speaking, she probably would have got some smaller roles if she stayed. But you know,
That's true.
You know, she
Listen,
could have been like, yo, I don't want to be Trini. I still want to be part of the show. I don't want to be Trini. They could have had her working at the juice bar or
she could have
something.
been like Trini's cousin.
Working at the juice bar.
she could have been like Ernie's niece or some
Or she
shit.
could have
Yeah,
been
right.
Ernie. Like,
Ernie
seriously.
himself. Yeah. Nah, they could have repurposed her somehow. But
I
I
wonder
mean,
how
hey,
much Bulk and Skull were getting paid. Yo, I'm curious.
Yeah, because they stayed for mad. long.
Exactly. Yo,
They stayed longer than the vast majority
Exactly.
of
well,
them.
it was a job. It was a job at the end of the day, and that's probably
that's-
they were probably a part of those folks that saw it like that, where it's like, okay, well, I have a job, and
And the thing too is
because
that
technically we focus on the 5 years. Sorry.
oh, you good? But no, I was just gonna say, like, also I remember, I don't remember where they said that, but like I remember they're saying like those guys are like classically trained too, so like they're like actors.
they're actors.
Yeah.
They know what's up.
So like if they were staying, like that shows that. I mean, they're probably, you know, obviously getting fucked too, but you know, that might show that they're. I don't know. I don't even know what that shows.
So hold on. I just you bringing that up reminded me My friend from school, where I went to college at, he sent me a picture of like stuff going on at school, and I'm like, and I'm looking, and I'm like, what am I supposed to be seeing? And then I saw it. Dude, Jason Narvi works at my college that I went to as like a performing arts something. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing right over there?
Right
Like
after Uchi graduated.
I would have applied
yeah,
to that
exactly.
class instantly. What?
Yeah. So fun fact. But yeah, so I think that is officially it. I have everything checked off from this list that I had from all the notes from this video. Pretty decent video for what it's worth. Obviously a lot of things like we had discussed, a lot of missing context I feel like, but I think with this discussion and maybe whatever you guys in the comments might have for us can I guess elaborate a little bit more or not. But until then, stay tuned for the next video whenever that is. Don't worry guys, we still have some things cooking up for this channel, and I guess I'll put it out there right now. Power Rangers Academia, I will say these guys, they all want to go to Power Morphicon. I don't know too much
Let's go.
if that's a great idea.
He's putting it in the universe.
Yeah, yeah, no,
One day.
yeah. So if that's
One day
if
this
that's
year,
yeah, if that's something you guys want to
all 3
see,
days.
all let us know, and also let us know if you guys would want us to do some. I don't even know if that would be possible to do like some sort of like live show at the event.
It'll be possible.
Like a panel or something.
Anything is possible. The power protects us.
Okay. All right, Zato. But yeah, guys, leave us your likes, subscribes, your comments, and don't forget that once we hit 1,000, which we're pretty much on the cusp of, we will be dropping a special episode that we did talking about all the best like what was it, the team ups, right?
The best
anniversaries.
specials.
Yeah, we did a discussion of all the best anniversary specials live and in person. So it's not like you got the 4 camera windows here. We were literally all in the same room, and Isaac walked out twice. You do not want to miss that, so make sure you subscribe, and make sure you tell all your Toku friends, tell your Power Ranger friends, tell your friends' friends, and make sure that they know it's morphin' time all the time. So I guess the last thing I will let you guys each have a bidding of adieu of some sort. So Isaac, you have any last words for the folks at home?
Well, I would just like to give a special thanks to everybody that considers me their favorite panel member in Power Rangers Academia, which is about 98% of our viewers. So, guys, just know you guys are always on my mind. I appreciate every single one of y'all. I don't get paid enough to do this, so once season 2 of Power Rangers Academia come out, best believe I'm gonna have my lawyers talk to Uchi, and we're trying to renegotiate a couple things here. All right, because if not, I'm just starting my own show, and they will be my guests. Just saying.
That's crazy. All right, JD, what do you got for the people left at home?
Read the comics, read Radiant Black, watch King Ogier. That's all I got to say.
That's good shit right there. I like that. That's dingable. All right, Tech, what you got left for the people at home?
Hey man, I'm just trying to see us hit that 1,000 so we can
Yes.
drop that episode.
Let's
The
go.
world needs to see it. Okay?
We got something special with it too.
Yeah. We cooking some stuff up. Like we got mad ideas, because once we get that, then the joint's gonna start coming. The tier list, I guess it's not a surprise. We said that already,
We talk about it enough, yeah.
but yeah, those joints, we got a bunch that you never seen before. Some topics that, like, there's joints that everybody's talked about before, like, oh, who's the best Red Ranger, which is gonna be OD when we do it, but everybody's done that. But we got some joints that nobody's talked about before.
That's a fact.
Because we
that's a fact, Tech. That is a fact. And to rest of my point, I know always you wanted us to say one thing. There is one way y'all can have this much faster, and that is by commenting hashtag PRA to Morphicon. That's how we make it happen.
He put a hashtag.
Imagine if that goes trending, bro.
Yeah, they're trending
Nah, it's
right
not
now.
gonna
Hashtag PRA to Morphicon. Y'all want us to Power Morphicon so we can tell people about themselves? We let them know what the facts are, who the best of the best is. You do that. Hashtag PRA to Morphicon.
And now you
Everybody in there.
understand why I don't think it's a good idea if we go. Because Isaac will start with everybody. It'll literally just be JD, Tech, and myself just sitting there being like, just waiting for Isaac to be done
In
fighting
our
with somebody.
contracts, we have 3 movies.
Or holding them
That
off
is Power
people.
Morphicon Friday, Power Morphicon Saturday, Power Morphicon Sunday. We making it happen. Hashtag PRA to Morphicon. Let's get Uchi there especially. Let's get him there. We doing it.
Okay. Well, you heard it here first, guys. Make sure you're liking, sharing, subscribing, hitting us up. Power Rangers Academia. You heard the hashtag. I'm not gonna repeat it. You're gonna have to
PRA
rewind for that shit. Okay. Take care of yourselves. May the power protect you. Keep it locked, loaded right here on this channel. Stay safe, stay clean, stay the hell inside, and we'll see y'all next time.